specializes in unforgettable Szechuan and Mandarin dishes like fish fillet and ginger sauce and beef and broccoli. Dine in or take out at 4515 France Avenue South. Find more details at greatwallrestaurant.us. Again, that's greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome to The Daily Show, the only daily LGBTQ radio news and talk show in the United States. I'm your host, John Parker. My executive producer, Jim Pounds, is here with me in the studio. We've got a lot to get to today in the second half hour. Jake Wittich, managing editor for Windy City Times, is back with new reporting on an Illinois state Senate race that is heating up between an out LGBTQ candidate and the incumbent, who is a longtime ally of the community. Plus, there are rising Mpox infections in Chicago, and what are health officials doing to address it? Jake will have that new reporting for us in the second half hour. But up first, the upcoming film Plainclothes heads to movie theaters later this month and into early October, depending on which city you are in. Jim and I have had the chance to screen it. Our official review is coming out next week, but spoiler alert, it's good. Okay, it's good. Get ready. There's a reason why it won the U.S. Dramatic Special Jury Award for Acting Ensemble at Sundance this year. Its director is Carmen Emmi. After graduating from USC's School of Cinematic Arts, Carmen began his career as an independent director of photography, contributing to a range of projects, including short films, commercials, and feature-length productions. Plainclothes is his debut screenplay, and it garnered acclaim in several industry competitions, including placing in the top 50 of the prestigious Ampus Academy Nickel Fellowship. And he joins us now. Carmen, welcome to The Gaily Show.
Hello, thank you for having me. That was such a nice intro. Thank you.
We are very glad to have you here with us. So your film, Plainclothes, set in the 1990s, an undercover police officer's assignment is to lure and arrest gay men in a shopping mall, but he defies orders when he falls in love with a target. Can you start off by telling us about the very real event in Long Beach that caused you to want to make a film about this topic?
Yeah, in 2014, there was a sting operation in the city of Long Beach where an undercover officer dressed in plainclothes flirted with men in a park bathroom in an effort to get them to expose themselves. There was a 2016 article in the LA Times that I read about a man named Rory Maroney and his legal team who sued the city of Long Beach for entrapment and won. So it was so funny. I just screened the film in Long Beach last week, where we won Best Film at the Long Beach Cube Film Festival, and I got to speak with someone from Rory's legal team. And these sting operations have actually been going on. They still might be going on, but in 2019, that was the most recent one that I heard of, and that was just so shocking to me at the time. I had recently come out. And, after you come out, my experience was I felt pretty safe, but then I learned news like that, and it just kind of like set me back a bit. And so all I could do was really write it down, like write those feelings down. And that's kind of how I came up with this story. Yeah.
Having been a closeted teenager myself in the 1990s, your film brought back all of that, the feelings, particularly the claustrophobia. And I've read you describe how in the 90s being gay felt like a death sentence. You're starting to talk about it right now, but can you talk about and unpack for us how writing and directing Plainclothes helped you process what was happening in your life, but also to the community in the 1990s America?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Syracuse, New York. And so I just remember growing up thinking that being gay was bad, not from anything my parents told me, really. It was really like, because I have very accepting parents, it was really like the culture around me. And I remember being in like Wegmans and seeing in the grocery store, like Ellen DeGeneres's magazine, the Time magazine, that said I'm gay, and a woman was like flipping it around so her kid wouldn't see the word gay. That was just something that was, it like, to me, it just said, oh, I don't want to be that. Because I was always trying to, be like the golden kid, and so I didn't want to do anything bad. And so I just kind of, and then the more you got into it, the more like fear, the more you started seeing people's fear around being gay and like that it could get you sick. So making this in my hometown in Syracuse was kind of a way for me to go back to that time and look at those feelings head on. Because I was just a boy, so I didn't fully understand them. But it was a very therapeutic experience. My community really rallied, the Syracuse community really rallied behind the film, which was, I think, really important for my 7-year-old self to feel. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And your brother was training to be an officer as you were writing the script. Were there things that he shared with you that surprised you as you were crafting the story?
Not really surprised me. I was just actually watching footage from, I was like getting ready for my premiere next week. I'm like watching footage that I would take on my phone. And I saw a lot of videos that I took riding along with him while he was patrolling. Nothing really surprising, honestly. I mean, he was a super friendly officer, that's for sure. Yeah, it was the sting operations, I think, so far have been the most shocking thing that I've learned about in terms of modern day policing, I would say. Yeah.
We know somebody that got in one of those, was set up that way and entrapped in a like a movie booth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
An adult movie booth kind of thing. Same idea, and was taken to jail. Ended up not being charged and not serving any time, but it's sort of life-changing, like you say, in terms of taking away your confidence, you know, that you're safe. Yeah.
Definitely. And I spoke to a gentleman in Alabama when we screened at Sidewalk who, you know, took me aside and said that his friend was entrapped like in like the 70s, and they would, or maybe the 60s, and they would post the photos in the newspaper in certain towns, and his friend, I believe, ended up taking his life. It's awful. And it's very much a part of our trauma as a queer people that we carry on, and it has been passed down to me in a way. And this is kind of Plainclothes is kind of my processing of it in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Can you talk to me about the use of high footage and weaving that into the film? Because I felt it was a really compelling choice to have parts of the film look like, and I guess with high film it is, a VHS home video recording. I mean, it totally put me right back into the 90s.
Yeah, no, I love making movies so much. This was my first one, and I want to make another one really bad. But one of the things that I love about film is you can use the medium to express ideas or express point of view in a way that you can't really totally do in theater. I love theater. It's just, you can't really do it in that way. And so I really wanted to show my main character's point of view in a very specific way that kind of felt like how anxiety feels to me. And, but also made me think about my childhood and like making it feel of that time. And so shooting on my Hi8 camera was my way to do that. I felt like when I was growing up, I was always shooting on my Hi8 out the car window, and like filming my brother he's in the movie. He plays like the little Lucas with the football helmet. That's my brother as a kid from when we were kids. Yeah, with his daughter's voice on it, which is so funny. She says daddy. So but yeah, so I used a lot of my family Hi8 footage like as I was revisiting this time in my life. So it kind of just like made sense emotionally. And then I just loved the idea of a specific camera being like what Lucas saw and like what he felt and like what he thought he saw. Because a lot of this is how policing your feelings and policing your sexuality, it can distort your memory and your mind because it's a trauma. And that's what I wanted to show in capturing it on Hi8. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of abstract, but yeah.
Well, so you were showing it, and that definitely came across for me as a viewer, but also the hearing part of the sound design.
Mm-hmm.
There were lots of electrical noises and hums that just immediately, like there was that felt, what do they call that? Felt sense, that sense feeling that listening, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling this right now. How did you go about deciding like which sounds and effects to use and then string them together? Because it was so intentional, and it really felt like a turning of the screw as things were going along in the film.
Oh, that's so cool to hear it said like that. Thank you. I was really inspired by The Conversation, Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation, and what he did with sound, because that's a movie about paranoia.
Yeah.
And that was made in the 70s, I think 73 or 74. That was probably the big creative influence for this movie, honestly. But I loved, if Lucas was the Hi8 camera, the sound designer, Kim Gallagher, and we went to college together, and now she works at Skywalker Sound in NorCal.
Wow.
I know we talked about it being like the inner workings of his mind being these gears, and how that could contribute to his anxiety, and how that like we were very careful about like the sounds we used to reflect anxiety too, like that those were specific choices. And so that's kind of how it all came about, in distorting those sounds. Our sound mixer, Danielle Dupree at Skywalker, the way that she was able to like make them so subjective and make you feel really in his head. I just feel like it's kind of, it goes, the sound is never mentioned. I feel like it's the biggest part of the movie, you know? Yeah.
For me, it definitely was. And I was also struck by the specificity of the operation, even down to like which officers they were sending in there based off of like the face and the look. And then when they were like what Tom Blythe's character Lucas would do when he goes into like the bathroom, and like where he stands, what he does, what he says, what he doesn't say, where he goes and doesn't, and then like the coming out and like the like a baseball thing, like attached to the hat, like go, you know, or no, it didn't go. Talk to me about like, was that based off of very specific what you learned in research, or is that something that you were crafting together from stories that you were hearing from people?
I think it's a mix of both, but I think it's really what I just, when I thought about how those sting operations could go, I thought about like, what was that process like to cast a guy to do the role? Like there is something inherently like homoerotic about that. And I love that. And I don't love it, but I loved like that as like a plot element. I was like, that's kind of like ironic in a way. So that was kind of created. But the LA Times article was really inspiring to me. The title was "The Handsome Cop Smiles." And I'm like, how do you cast a handsome cop? And that's kind of how it came to me. Yeah.
Wow. Was Tom Blyth your first choice? Well, I mean, because
terrible question.
I guess that's an inappropriate question. But I mean, he so perfectly encapsulates what you're going for in the role of Lucas, at least from when I was watching it. And I mean, he just so clearly captured the yearning and the pathos of, and then just the feeling of being entrapped himself. That it's a phenomenal performance. And I have to hit a break here. So we are talking with filmmaker Carmen Emmi. His debut film Plainclothes is headed to theaters later this month and into October, depending on which city you're in. We're going to have more with him and The Gailey Show when we come right back. You can keep the conversation going on Blue Sky. We're at thegaileyshow.org on Blue Sky. You can also catch up with more progressive news and analysis at heartlandsignal.com. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts still matter.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
This October, let your imagination and heart return to the movie theaters for the 6th annual Flip the Script Queer Film Festival. 9 days of groundbreaking animated, documentary, short, and feature-length films that push the boundaries of love, family, and relationships. This fall, let's watch the unexpected. October 3rd through the 11th at Film North in St. Paul. Digital passes available. Tickets on sale September 5th at flipthescriptfest.org.
Hey, Francois, what's with all the wrapping paper?
Salut, Laura, je fais des cadeaux.
You're making gifts. These must be for your clients. And then your favorite macaroons for Nicolettes.
Bien sûr.
Oh, they put your business logo on them? Luxurious.
Oui, et is expédié partout dans le pays.
They ship anywhere in the U.S. And look how many you bought. You must have lots of clients.
Mais non, ils sont tous pour moi.
Oh, Francois, these are just for you? Well, visit nicoletsmacaroons.com today to create thoughtful gifts for your business, your friends, or yourself.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listener. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
At Schroman Law, we provide more than just legal documents. We walk alongside our clients to ensure their wishes and legacies are being honored with every choice. And we do this while recognizing that this process can be emotional and weighty. Our team includes attorneys, as well as a grief coach and a published writer ready to assist with legacy letters and extra wishes to go alongside your healthcare directive. Contact us today to learn more at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Welcome back to The Daily Show. I am John Parker. My executive producer, Jim Pounds, is here in the studio with me. We are coming up on the bottom of the hour. The upcoming film Plainclothes is set in the 1990s and follows an undercover police officer's assignment to lure and arrest gay men in a shopping mall, but he defies orders when he falls in love with a target. Writer and director Carmen Emmi is here with us. All right, I want to talk about Tom and Russel.
Yeah.
Tell us about the chemistry that they had on there. I read that the initial tests were through Zoom, but there was, I mean, very clearly they embodied both of these characters. And when they first meet, it's just through eyes and glances. Mm-hmm. And there was so much in those. Talk to me about writing those and then filming those scenes.
Oh gosh, well, writing definitely came from, personal experience, like eyeing a guy. It happened today in Williams-Sonoma. Like I walk into the store and like, you look at someone across the way and it's like, okay, you've said a paragraph and a look. And trying to write that is tricky. But I think that Russell and Tom just really understood that form of communication, which I think helped, like Russell especially. And it's yeah, I've looked up to Russell's work since like I came out, like when I saw Looking, and I just was always such a fan, and just getting to work with him was an incredibly special experience. They both were just so dropped in. We worked with an intimacy coordinator named Joey Massa for the intimate scenes, which I really loved that. So the four of us would just have like a little bit of time to kind of choreograph the scene. I wanted it to reflect my experiences, and I wanted them to feel real, but I wanted them to feel beautiful. Like working with Joey was really great for me and for the actors. Yeah.
Russell's performance. I mean, I couldn't help but remember his 2016 film, The Pass, where he's playing a footballer who's navigating like championship English football, real football. And it's this homophobic system of behavior. But now watching him here in your film, Plainclothes, where there is this confidence in his character. I mean, he knows who he is. He knows what he wants. He knows the limitations of that. And he has some really lovely advice for Lucas at the end of the film. And that wasn't something that I was necessarily expecting, given who we ultimately learn who Russell's character is. Tell me about the crafting of that character.
I really wanted to show a positive experience. I wanted Lucas's experience, his first time going off into the queer world, to be a positive one. And I think Russell's character, Andrew, does the best he can given his circumstance. Most of my experiences, I feel like, with other men have been positive. They've been positive. I feel like we have an ability to look out for each other in the queer community, which I think is really special. But sometimes it's, can get complicated and it doesn't feel so special at the time, but you look back and you're like, oh, they were actually just doing what they could with what they had at the time. And I wanted Russel's character to reflect that. Yeah.
We're talking with filmmaker Carmen Emmi. His debut film, Plainclothes, is headed to a theater near you later this month. I don't want to give away any spoilers.
No.
But there is a scream.
Please don't.
There's a
Please
scream
don't.
at one point in the movie. And as I was watching, I remember thinking, I know that scream. And that's one that I wanted to do at some point in my, like, in the 90s. I'm like, I recognize that. That is for, like, I know that's, you know, it's like, it felt like for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was so cathartic. And so I just want to say thank you. For that.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Because I instantaneously recognized it and thought, this is for my younger self who wanted to do exactly that. I'm not going to say any more about that. But Jim, I know you had some questions for Carmen.
I'm curious if the timing of the release, I mean, I think awards when I think of fall. Was that at all? Or do you think like, oh gosh, I'd rather come out in February and not have all that pressure? Or I know it's not you, but are you optimistic about? I feel optimistic about the film that way.
Thank you. Wow,
I don't even think about that.
I think everyone dreams about winning an Oscar. I mean, or at least I do. That would be, you know, silly of me not to say that I like definitely imagined it, and I would love that. I think I would really love the actor, and we've been honored with an award at Sundance for Best Ensemble. But I really I worked really, really hard on the script, so like a script award would be amazing, or like the actors. I think the actors getting recognition would be most important to me, honestly, especially Russel and Tom. They're just like so incredible, and they were so present on set and just were amazing leaders. So I would love for them to get recognized. Yeah. I don't know if us getting released in the fall was for that reason though. Yeah.
I mean, I think that way when as a film lover, I always think, oh, pay attention after Labor Day because here we go.
Yeah.
But did you shoot this in 6 weeks in Syracuse? Is that what I read? Was that about how long it was?
I think so. We had 18 days to shoot it. We had 2-day weekends. So I think it was like 3 weeks of a shoot, and then we prepped, you know, for a few weeks before. But I was living there. So I was able to kind of my prep is like kind of walking around the mall or walking around downtown. And but yeah, it was
that's so cool. I'm glad that money was spent there, and I'll bet Syracuse was very happy for that.
Yeah, no, I love this where we're at right now in our culture with like regional filmmaking. I think it's actually really important. And what I'm finding is a lot of people who may have not thought that they would have liked the filmmaking process actually do, and it can be like in their own backyard, which is just the dream.
That's great.
You made me miss shopping malls, Carmen. I mean, not this whole part of the plot point, but like the being in the shopping mall and the ambiance of it, I was like, oh, remember shopping malls?
I know it's such a specific space. We shot ours wasn't actually a mall. It was a corporate, it's a corporate office. Wow. Yeah, we had to make it look like a mall, which was fun.
That tells you where the malls have gone. Where have all the malls gone?
There is an operating mall in Syracuse called Destiny USA, but we didn't. Yeah, we shot in a place called the Galleries downtown. They were so nice to let us shoot there. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the film. For our Chicago listeners, Plainclothes will actually be at the 43rd Chicago LGBTQ International Film Festival on September 19th. You can head to their website to buy tickets. I recommend doing that sooner rather than later because I anticipate that's going to sell out quickly. And then it'll open at the Music Box on October 3rd in Chicago. Minneapolis, stay tuned. We will keep you up to date on showtimes as they become available here in the Twin Cities. Carmen, congratulations on the film. It was very special. Thank you for it.
I can't wait to read your review. Thank you.
You have to listen to it. It's radio.
God. Yeah. Transcription.
Yeah. We'll get down there. But I know that you've got to go and head out to. You're doing a lot of promotion right now, so we really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, stay tuned. When we come back, Jake Wittich, managing editor of Windy City Times, is going to be joining us to talk about new reporting from Chicago. A lot of stuff to get to. You are listening to The Gailey Show. More after this very quick break.
Hello, Minnesota. This is Stephanie Miller. Make sure to start your day off right with the Stephanie Miller Show every weekday morning from 8 to 11 right here on AM 950.
This October, let your imagination and heart return to the movie theaters for the 6th annual Flip the Script Queer Film Festival.
I think they have somebody in custody.
Jake is here.
Hey, Jake.
Hi, Jake.
Hey, so I don't know if you saw, there's some breaking news. Charlie Kirk was shot.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
So I might do a little bit of that off the top. Is that was okay?
Yeah, totally fine.
I might actually turn it. Ask both of you your thoughts on it. I mean, I know that it's soon. Do you want me to do that, or do you want me to just read out the facts as we know them from AP?
I don't have thoughts at this time.
Okay.
I always have thoughts without thinking about them. That's my specialty.
All right. Well, Jake, it is great to see you.
Yes.
Let me just make sure my notes up. Do you have any questions for us before we switch back over to the feed?
I don't think so. I read up on what's been going on with ICE and Trump in Chicago in case we talk about that. I haven't done any reporting personally, but I have stuff I can say. So
Good. I wanna make sure that we cover part of that.
Know that.
yeah.
I mean, partially because it's one thing for us to talk about it. You're there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's better to get that. Do you want to start with Mpox?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. Just get information out on what people should do.
Yeah, and then we can go over to the state race, the Senate race, and then we can get to MAGA in Chicago.
Cool.
Okay, we'll switch back over.
Technology-driven print solution. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 73. Tonight, clear with a low around 57. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 78. The Grey Wall Restaurant specializes in unforgettable Szechuan and Mandarin dishes like fish fillet and ginger sauce and beef and broccoli. Dine in or take out at 4515 France Avenue South. Find more details at greatwallrestaurant.us. Again, that's greatwallrestaurant.us.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
You are listening to The Gailey Show. We have breaking news happening out of Utah. Charlie Kirk, the CEO and co-founder of the conservative youth organization Turning Point USA, was shot on today at an event at Utah Valley University. Aubrey Leitch, public relations manager for Turning Point USA, has confirmed that Charlie was shot. They said, quote, "We are praying for Charlie." He was speaking at a debate that was being hosted by his political organization. The event had been met with a lot of divided opinions on the campus of Utah Valley University. Apparently, there was a petition that garnered over or just about 1,000 signatures to keep Kirk from attending and being on campus. The university issued a statement last week citing First Amendment rights and affirming its commitment to free speech and constructive dialogue. A Republican at the event, according to AP News, says he heard one shot. Jason Chaffetz said that he heard the shot ring out. Kirk had just posed a question to him by someone in the crowd about transgender people and shootings. There was just that one single shot so far that we are aware of. Charlie Kirk had started Turning Point when in 2012 when he was just a teenager. So we will be following the story as information comes in. But yeah,
it sounds pretty graphic. So that's all we know at the moment.
Yeah, statements are already coming in from a variety of bipartisan leaders. Republican Senate Leader John Thune, Senate Majority Leader in the Senate from South Dakota, said, quote, "There's no place in our country for political violence, period, full stop." California Democrat Representative Ro Khanna has issued a statement, quote, "The shooting of Charlie Kirk at a university is chilling and horrific. Political violence has no place in America. We all must reflect on how we can tone down the anger and hate that has poisoned our politics and be better citizens in a divided and aching nation," end quote. And Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat of Connecticut, has said, quote, "We are all horrified watching the images and following the news out of Utah, and we are sending all of our thoughts to Mr. Kirk, to his family, and to survivors there," end quote. I think this is, particularly for folks, us here in Minnesota, it feels like we've just been covering political violence nonstop since June. So again, we will be following the story and we'll be providing updates throughout the hour as they become available. In the meantime, or not in the meantime, Windy City Times has been the voice of Chicago's LGBTQ plus community since 1985. This year marks the news outlet's 40th anniversary of uplifting queer stories, reporting with pride and chronicling LGBTQ plus history. You can visit windycitytimes.com/newsletters to sign up for their excellent and necessary newsletter for the publication's weekly LGBTQ plus news updates. Jake Wittich is managing editor of Windy City Times, where he reports in-depth stories on Chicago's LGBTQ plus community and oversees the publication's growing newsletter operation. Jake, good to see you.
Yeah, good to be back.
All right. So you've got new reporting on Mpox infections rising in Chicago. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so this summer we saw a spike in Mpox cases across the city. We've seen a spike every summer, actually, since the major outbreak that happened in, I think it was 2022. But this year's summer spike has been larger than in previous years. So to give you some of the numbers, since January, Chicago has seen 71 people test positive for Mpox, and 59 of those cases have happened since June. So that's about 83% of the total cases this year have been across the summer. So the big thing that public health officials are urging people to do is to get vaccinated if they have not already. Many people may remember getting the 2 shots back in 2022, but their thought is maybe there's people who have recently entered the community, maybe come out or started participating in the LGBTQ plus scene who are not vaccinated yet. So
can you remind us, because it feels like we were all talking about Mpox in 2022 and then didn't talk about it ever again. So can you remind us what it is, what to look for if you think that you might have it?
Yeah, so Mpox is a viral infection that can cause a painful rash or sores that look like pimples or blisters on the face, body, or genitals. And it's often accompanied with flu-like illness, including fever, chills, head, muscle aches, or swelling of the lymph nodes. It's highly contagious, but the good news is if you are vaccinated against it, you are less likely to have a severe case of it or a case at all. So.
Mm-hmm. Where are places that we can get the vaccine? Do you know those areas?
Yeah, well, in Chicago, first off, if you are experiencing symptoms or if you've been in contact with anyone who is showing symptoms, you should talk to your health provider. If you do not have a health provider, the Chicago Department of Public Health has public health sites that you can visit. There's also a free HIV and STI resource hub, and you can visit that. The phone number is 844-482-4666. 4040, and that's a hotline that can connect you with resources. And then there's also a website, HIVhub.org. And it is an HIV hub, but they connect people with resources for other STIs as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, if someone were vaccinated in 2022, do they need to get like a booster or another vaccination round this year?
That's a great question. And I had that for the public health doctor that I talked to. And the answer is no. If you got the 2 shots, you are good. I think they last for about 10 years. So you should be good for now. And the vaccines are an effective tool in preventing hospitalizations and deaths from Mpox. Of the cases this year, we've only had 1 hospitalization, and 0 of them have resulted in deaths. And they are attributing that to the number of people who are vaccinated. Like I said, the vaccine is not 100% going to prevent Mpox. After 2 doses, you're at about a 58 to 75%, or no, you're at a 75 to 86% effectiveness rate.
Wow. And so who should be considering getting a vaccine immediately?
Yeah, there's a whole list. The first bullet point is bisexual, gay, or other same gender loving men who are sexually active, transgender people who are sexually active, people who have had skin to skin or intimate contact with someone who is diagnosed with Mpox, anyone living with HIV, and then people who are eligible or currently taking PrEP.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I will say I'm optimistic that we can mitigate the spread. The whole country, but especially Chicago, did a really good job in 2022 getting ahead of the spike in cases that we saw. And that's because outreach to the community that was affected, bathhouses got involved, bars got involved. There were a lot of grassroots vaccination efforts. So don't be alarmed, but definitely take precautions and do what you can to stop the spread.
I feel like, if there's a vigilant community that understands the need,
and a government that talks about healthcare, that cares about people's health. That's nice to hear. I want to compliment both of you for that conversation, because you don't hear that anymore, from the federal government.
That's a good question. So do you know if there's any support coming to Chicago from HHS? I mean, I know obviously the Secretary RFK Jr. doesn't believe in vaccinations and is probably shutting down research. So is that in any way impeding or getting in the way of Chicago being able to provide resources?
Not that I've heard, but I am just hearing from people in the community fears as to maybe what's happening in the federal government could trickle down. So they are not public health officials, just community members are saying, let's all get vaccinated now while we're guaranteed to have these resources.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that reporting. I know we'll stay tuned to upcoming updates on that to see how things are going there. But obviously, maybe it doesn't go without saying, our editorial position here at the Gailey Show is vaccines are effective and they are based in science, and science is good, and we should be getting vaccinated if you meet those criteria for needing a vaccine for Mpox right now. Also, flu shots and COVID vaccines and all the other vaccines, please go and do them.
I'm getting my flu shot tomorrow.
Good job.
Yeah, I was actually at a clinic earlier this summer for something unrelated, and they're like, "Do you want your COVID vaccination?" And I'm like, "Oh, we still do those?"
I know.
I'm like, yeah, do it now. I'm like, yes, please give it to me now. I don't want to wait until they, ban them.
Exactly.
All right. So you have some very interesting reporting coming from a state Senate race in Illinois. And I feel like it's heating up there, and it's between an incumbent who has a long record of being pro-LGBTQ and supportive of the community. And then there is a new candidate running to unseat her, and who is openly gay. So what can you tell us about the state of this race and the candidates themselves?
Yeah, so this is a race for state Senate in Illinois, and it's an interesting dynamic, as you said. There's this newcomer, Nick Uniejewski, and he is an openly gay man. He's 29 years old. He's been an organizer and a policy analyst for other organizations, but now he's trying to enter this side of public service. And he is up against State Senator Sara Feigenholtz, who's a longtime ally to the LGBTQ plus community. She served this area of Chicago for decades, first in the Illinois House and now in the Illinois Senate. So there's a lot of touch points to our LGBTQ plus community from both of these candidates.
So can you tell us a little bit about Senator Feigenholtz's record? Because there's a lot here, including being inducted into the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah. So Sara Feigenholtz was inducted into the LGBT Hall of Fame in 2001, and that was a response to her decades of allyship to the community. She's called a friend of the community in that induction page. And she has worked to strengthen hate crime laws in Illinois. She's secured HIV and AIDS treatment funding. She supported Howard Run Health. That's our major LGBTQ health center. She supported that organization countless times throughout her career, including helping it get funding for its new massive facility in the North Halsted neighborhood. And she's updated property laws to recognize same-sex LGBTQ plus families. So she told me that she is a part of this community. It's in her DNA, just like the area she serves is.
Mm-hmm. And why is she running again? I imagine that there must be an agenda, larger legislative agenda that she wants to work on when to be reelected. What do we know about that? Like, what are her goals for being elected again, and what she wants to accomplish in another term?
Yeah, her big thing is she's not done. Her skin is still in the game. She still wakes up every day puzzling how to solve these issues affecting her constituents, whether LGBTQ plus or not. She's concerned about affordability in her district. She's concerned about healthcare access and especially LGBTQ plus rights. So she sees the urgency right now, especially as the federal government is coming down on many of these things. And she wants to continue to be a defender of those.
Mm-hmm. So then the opponent, Nick Uniejewski, 29-year-old community organizer and a policy analyst. Why did he get into the race?
Yeah, so Nick, what he told me is he just feels like it's time for change in government. It's time for, I guess, the old guard, as he would say, to pass the baton to newer leadership. He's accused Sara Feigenholtz of having ideas rooted in the past. I've heard from people maybe that's sexist or ageist of him to suggest. But he really argues that his lived experience makes him better suited to represent today's LGBTQ plus community versus someone who has done it for previous decades.
I see. Okay, so are there specifics of policies or votes that Senator Feigenholtz has taken that Uniejewski is taking issue with and saying that that's old school?
You know, he brought up just the number of laws she's passed. He tried comparing her to State Senator Mike Simmons, who's relatively new in that position. I don't have the exact numbers as to how many laws she's passed, but I do have a long list of LGBTQ plus specific things she's championed. So it's hard for me to say, but he's just been feeling frustrated since Trump's election and inauguration and wants leaders to be doing more.
I see. I have a couple more questions about that. I have to fit in a break here. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF and WCPT 820. We're going to have more with Jake Wittich, managing editor of Windy City Times, when we come back.
Adventure is calling. Set sail with Treasure Island and Children's Theatre Company, where danger, discovery, and daring sword fights await. Follow young Jim Hawkins on a journey filled with mysterious maps, buried treasure, and the unforgettable Long John Silver. A legendary story brought to life with stunning visuals, live music, and heart-pounding action. Don't miss Treasure Island, September 9th through October 19th. Tickets at childrenstheatre.org.
Hey friends, this is John Parker from The Gailey Show. When I travel, I want to go somewhere where I can unwind, get back to nature, like with waterfalls and hiking, enjoy some classic downtown shopping with good restaurants, and also just be myself as a queer person without worries. That's why twice a year for the past 10 years, I've been visiting Michigan's Marquette County. This fall, join me and head up to the Fresh Coast. Visit travelmarquette.com to start your journey.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shamblot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. We are coming up on the top of the hour. I want to provide you with a few updates on the shooting in Utah of conservative podcaster and organizer Charlie Kirk. He is currently in the hospital in critical condition. Law enforcement officers have confirmed to the Associated Press that he is being treated, is in critical condition. There is a video that AP News has authenticated of the shooting where Charlie was, a single shot was fired into his neck. And that is what we can see in the video. Apparently a lot of blood. And then the video, well, I haven't seen the video, but that is apparently what's out there and has been confirmed as legitimate from AP News. We are here with every other Wednesday. We are lucky and blessed to be joined by Jake Wittich, managing editor of Windy City Times, who joins us with his excellent award-winning reporting from that LGBTQ storied newspaper, who's been going for 40 years and hopefully will be going for another 40 years. Real briefly, before the break, we were talking about the state Senate race between State Senator Feigenholtz and now a competitor, Nick Uniejewski. Broadly, can you give us a sense of what his platform is? He says that the baton needs to be passed to a new leader. What is his larger platform of why he's running, Jake?
Yeah, his number one issue is affordability. We're seeing rising costs. Many people can't afford to buy a home. Many people can't even afford to rent. So he really wants to tackle that issue. Another big thing that's pretty local, well, it's a national issue, I'm sure, but locally in Illinois, we need funding for transportation. Our state legislature actually wrapped up its last section without agreeing on a transit funding bill. So there's calls for a special session this summer to get that figured out. And without that, we could see massive cuts to our Chicago Transit Authority and other transit options in the Chicago area. So that's vital. It could disrupt whole economies, actually. I don't have a car. I should not be driving. So without the train, I am done, you know? So that's an important issue. And then LGBTQ rights. They're so under attack. He's a part of the community, so he wants to continue to champion those.
Okay. Well, we'll see how this race goes. This is for 2026, right? This isn't a special election in 25.
Correct. Yeah, it's for the primary.
Well, it'll be very interesting. When do the primaries happen in Illinois? Is it next June?
March. I can't recall the exact date, but March. Yeah.
So the primaries will happen in March. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. Again, we will stay tuned to your reporting. on that. Earlier this week, so on Monday and Tuesday for our Chicago listeners on WCPT, we took a deep dive into what is going on in Chicago as it relates to Trump and MAGA saying that they're going to, quote, invade the city. There was Trump's social media posts about, this is what, they're going to find out what, Chicago's going to find out what the Department of War really means. And then he walked that back. On Sunday, we know that there have been, ICE operations that kicked off on Monday, and ABC7 locally, I've noticed, has been keeping a live tracker of what's been happening with ICE enforcement there. What can you tell us about what's happening now a couple days later?
Yeah, so I am not on this beat. I'm actually busy this week preparing for your presentation. So I have not personally reported on this, but I've been relying a lot on the Chicago Sun-Times and Borderless magazine for their avid reporting on what's happening. And, ICE has deployed more than 200 agents and 100 vehicles to Chicago. They've been targeting what Trump calls criminal illegal aliens. And some people have been arrested, including street vendors here in Chicago. It's been met with protests. People, especially yesterday, thousands of people marched in the streets, especially in primarily Latino neighborhoods like Pilsen. And a lot of people are mobilizing to pass out know your rights information so that if people do come into contact with an ICE agent, they know what to do and they know what their rights are.
Mm-hmm. Now, the guard hasn't been deployed to Chicago. Have you just generally, or folks at the paper or just in your social circle, seen ICE? Like, is there a visible presence of them, or is it more, for lack of a better word, tactical, where they're just sort of coming in and arresting someone and then disappearing them?
From what I've seen just on social media and other reporters, there is a bit of a visible presence. There's massive protests actually outside the Broadview. I think it's a Navy facility where ICE is staying right now. So huge protests there trying to stop vehicles from going in and out of this facility. In terms of the impact on local businesses, foot traffic is down. A lot of people in Latino neighborhoods and families are expressing fear to even step outside. So there's an economic impact to this that's happening as well. Yeah.
Well, I've been hearing, I don't know about Chicago specifically, but in the cities that have been occupied illegally like this, kids don't go to school, whether kids don't want to go to school under the circumstances or their parents don't want them to go to school. So it's certainly disruptive to kids unnecessarily too.
And there's already been instances where maybe an ICE agent went to a school, months ago, so valid concerns, and I really think Trump is just trying to antagonize. He's using ICE to antagonize. He wants some sort of strong response from the organizers here in Chicago so that he can justify sending the National Guard to Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, dangerous times.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. We've canceled events here in Chicago, like cultural events, just because it's too dangerous for people to gather right now when ICE is doing this.
Right. Because you're being attacked by your own government. Yeah, that's great.
I guess you weren't. I was going to ask you, Jim, like, what is this is starting to feel 1968 to me in terms of everything that we're dealing with now, but you were just still a kid that year, so you really can't give us a sense of.
I had a birthday. That's why he's being nice to me.
So happy birthday!
Thank you. It was a few days ago, but he's been nice for almost a week now. That's really great.
It's so unnatural. All right. Well, we're gonna leave it there for right now. Jake, thank you so much for joining us here. We're very lucky to have you here, and we look forward to seeing you back here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Be safe.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening and or watching today on YouTube. Up next on WCPT 820 is Choose Views with Richard Chu on AM 950 Radio. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, step into the unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghost Box Radio. Stream us everywhere you get your podcast. And until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.